Hello and welcome back to HBB Strictly Education Online Beauty Academy. Today we are going to be talking about Thio chemical hair relaxing. So let's get started. What is chemical hair relaxing? Chemical hair relaxing utilizes chemicals to rearrange the internal structure of naturally curly hair, transforming the curls into straighter, smoother hair. It is the opposite process of permanent waving, in which chemicals are used to add curls and waves to straight hair. The active ingredient in relaxers break apart the bonds within curly hair strands and then rebuild those bonds in a straightened form, allowing curls to be temporarily removed. Okay, so there is two different types of relaxing that we're going to talk about in this chemical texture chapter. Now, when we talk about thio, I want you to always think about the hair being curly, even though we're making it straight. So what's going on here is that we are making the hair straight, prepping it to be curled. Because with African American hair, and I'll say African American because that's who mainly has to straighten their hair before we actually do the perming process. Okay, so African American hair comes very, very coiled. It grows very, very coiled, very, very tightly. So, in order to put the perm on there, the soft curl permanent, the jerry curl, the curl, in order to do that, we must prep the hair, which means we're making the hair straight, making it smoother. And it doesn't have to be silky straight, but we're relaxing, relaxing the natural wave or natural curl of the hair so that we can wind it around those rods. Okay, so we're breaking bonds in there, smoothing the hair out so that when we wrap it around the bonds, we'll get a much larger curl. Okay. Understanding the chemistry. Comparing relaxers and permanent waves. The chemistry behind relaxers and permanent waves is identical. Both hair treatments alter the hair's structure by breaking disulfide bonds. The three most common types of chemical hair relaxers are ammonium thio, no lye, guanidine hydroxide, which is a no lye, sodium hydroxide, which is a lye. It is important to note that sodium hydroxide is a lye-based relaxer. Now, again, ammonium thioglycolate. It says ammonium thio, which is ammonium thioglycolate, is a no-lye relaxer because there is no lye in the ammonium thioglycolate. I need you to also understand that ammonium thio, remember, is to be curled. When you hear the word ammonium thioglycolate, that means that there is going to be a roller in this process. Okay, now guanidine hydroxide relaxer is a no-lye relaxer as well, and sodium hydroxide is a lye relaxer. Okay, chemical hair relaxers. The most common active ingredient used in chemical hair relaxers are ammonium thioglycolate, guanidine hydroxide, and sodium hydroxide. Ammonium thioglycolate and guanidine hydroxide relaxers are typically classified as no-lye relaxers, while sodium hydroxide relaxers are known as lye relaxers. The no-lye products can cause less irritation for some people compared to the sodium hydroxide formulas. Now, let's start with ammonium thioglycolate. So we know that ammonium thioglycolate is a no lye because there is no lye in it. Now, the ammonium thioglycolate is the main active ingredient in this thio relaxer. Remember when you hear the word thio that there is going to be at some point a roller rolled on the head and the hair is going to be curly. Okay, now the ammonium thioglycolate is used to prep the hair to be curl. So we're going to take that relaxer, apply it to hair that is very tightly curled, and we're going to relax it, relax the natural curl, make it smooth, make it straight. Okay, and then we're going to roll it on a roller, and that's going to give us a more larger, smoother curl. Okay, that's ammonium thioglycolate. This is the relaxer that straightens it. Now we have guanidine hydroxide. Now, guanidine hydroxide is a no-lie, but I also want you to know that there are other no-lies on the market as well, which is calcium, lithium, guanidine, and potassium. These are all no-lie relaxers. Now, with these no-lie relaxers, the ingredients that I just mentioned, just like guanidine, are the main active ingredients in those relaxers. Okay, so those relaxers do not have lye in them. They are no lye. They just have another active chemical in them, but it is not lye. Okay, so these other ingredients also are used to break down the disulfide bonds in the hair to make the hair straight. Okay, now with these no-lye relaxers, they are marketed on the market for home use. And the reason why they're put on the market for home use is because they are supposed to be more gentle on the hair. But here's the thing with no-lye relaxers. Because they're no-lye does not mean that they are better for the hair. The no-lye relaxers cause a more drying effect in the hair. They leave a film on the hair, okay? And then they cause a drying effect on the hair because of the main active ingredients that are used that are drying agents in the hair. Now, one of the reasons why the hair is very dry is because the cuticle is still partly open on a no-lye relaxer. A no-lye relaxer does not close the cuticle, seal the cuticle like it should, like all the way. It does not do that. A no-lye relaxer leaves that cuticle partly open so that it absorbs a lot of moisture. Once it absorbs that moisture and that moisture dries, now the hair is dry. So if you're using a no-lye constantly, like over and over and over, eventually you're going to get more drying, more breakage. The hair is going to begin to start splitting, and you'll see the drying on the hair. You'll see that hair looking dry because it'll be hard to add shine and things to the hair because of that dryness. Now, sodium hydroxide relaxers are also known as lye. Lye relaxers are the only relaxer that actually seals that cuticle. A lye relaxer seals that cuticle so that it closes a cuticle so that you can only accept the right amount of moisture without drying the hair out. Now, if you use a relaxer that is too strong for the texture of your hair, you're going to get drying also. So you have to be careful when you do a relaxer on a client. You want to make sure that this is the right relaxer for that texture of hair. Okay, and in the next video, we're going to learn about that as we finish up hydroxide relaxers. Now, the no-lye products can cause less irritation for some people compared to the sodium hydroxide formulas. Okay, so what's going on when we apply these relaxers to the hair, right? A no-lye relaxer is easier on the scalp, but it's harder on the hair. A lye relaxer is harder on the scalp, but easier on the hair. I'm going to explain why. Because the no-lye relaxer was created to be more gentle on the scalp, it still causes that dryness. That dryness can cause breakage, it can cause split ends, it causes that dullness, This is what happens with the no-lie. But when you use a sodium hydroxide relaxer, the sodium hydroxide relaxer seals that cuticle, so you're not getting that dryness in the hair. If you put a no-lie and a lie relaxer side by side, you could tell the difference. If you take your finger and go down a strand of a no-lie, you could feel little tiny bumps there, like little rough, it feels like a little rough texture. But if you slide your finger down a lie relaxer, you slide it down, it's very silky smooth all the way to the end. That is the difference with lie and no lie. Just because it says no lie does not mean that it's going to be better for the hair, because no lie is going to cause all that drying on the hair because the cuticle is not closed correctly. Okay, even if you use the the neutralizing shampoo, it will not close it completely because of that film that's on the hair and that drying effect from that ingredient that is in there. Important for chemical hair relaxing services. It is important to notify your client of these items listed below, which can cause scalp irritation in some clients. Clients should not get a relaxer directly after leaving the gym or any exercise that causes them to sweat. This is important because a lot of times people come to get their relaxer after they leave the gym. A lot of times what happens is that sweat mixes with the relaxer and it causes a sensitivity on the scalp, which causes that burning sensation. So we always want to talk to our clients about do's and don'ts before we get a relaxer. Do not shampoo their hair the week of a relaxer. This is very important. One, because shampooing prior can cause scalp irritation, which can lead to that burning sensation on the scalp. But two, if you wait that week, what you're doing is you're allowing sebum, which is our natural oils, to build up on the scalp and act as a barrier between the relaxer and the scalp. Okay? If a client has braids, they should take them out prior to the service and comb their hair thoroughly before service. So when a client comes, and a lot of clients do this, they take the braids out the night before, the morning before, and they come in and they want to get a relaxer. Well, they should take those braids out a few days prior and comb through the hair thoroughly. Comb the hair thoroughly, brush it thoroughly to get as many of those defined crinkles out of the hair before they come to you. This way, when they come to you, you don't have to do all that combing and brushing, that pulling, all that movement on the scalp, which causes scalp irritation when you go to give them a relaxer because you have manipulated the scalp so much. Should avoid caffeine prior to relaxer services. This is important too, because a lot of people drink coffee and tea and sodas, and they drink them prior to getting their relaxer. Who doesn't have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something in the morning, when they wake up? And what this does is that caffeine agitates the scalp. It can irritate the scalp when you're getting a relaxer. So you want to let your clients know, hey, when you get relaxed, to try to do decaffeinated. So you want to try that. Should avoid relaxers at least a week or two before menstrual cycle. Before or after. I want to put time, I can't even stress, our bodies change so much. And you come in to get a relaxer and you're so close to your menstrual, or you're a week before or a week after or during that time, and now the scalp is irritated and nobody knows why. You have to remember that our bodies change, especially during our menstrual cycles. Imagine, think about people that say, oh, my breast is so tender around that time, or just how you feel. Think about how you feel around that time, and know that our bodies change, so it will affect our relaxers as well, whether we have a burning sensation or not. If a client knows that they're sensitive to irritation or burning, suggest that they baste their scalp with mineral oil the night before. It will help with the irritation and the burning. Now, with the irritation and the burning, some people, we don't know if they're following any of these things, if they're drinking coffee in the morning, if they're coming from the gym, if they shampooed their hair that week, or any of those services. We don't know, but they just know that every time they get a relaxer, their scalp burns. Well, I would tell them to baste the scalp with mineral oil the night before, because now what we're doing is that we're creating an extra layer of protection between the scalp and the relaxer. So that mineral oil will help with that irritation and the burning of the scalp. Tightly coiled curly hair textures. Very curly hair can grow in tight spirals and coils rather than loose waves. The structure of these curls vary a lot. Thick in some parts and very narrow at the peaks of twist. When curly hair is chemically relaxed, the thinning twist points stretch the most to unwind the curl. These fragile areas break easiest since they are the weakest links. So this is something that, first let's look at the hair here. Let me point this out. Get my little pen. So this is, when I talked in the video, the screen before, this is very tightly coiled hair. And to go and try to just put a perm on this and roll it up will not suffice. So with this, what we do is we relax the hair with the Thio relaxer, the ammonium Thio relaxer, to straighten the hair out, and then we're able to roll it. Okay, so remember that the fragile area breaks easiest since they are the weakest link, right? And think about around the hairline is very weak. You shouldn't start right on the hairline, especially in the front, because it's very, very weak there, right around the hairline. Okay, and remember that it says thick in some parts and very narrow at the peak of the twist. When curly hair is chemically relaxed, the thinning twist points get stretched the most to unwind the curl, and these fragile areas breaks easiest. All right, because those are the weakest areas. So when we're doing, and that's another reason why you don't want to use a strength that's too strong for the hair, and you do not want to leave a product on the hair much longer than it should be. Okay, we should always be conscious of time and remember that integrity is everything. We always want to keep the integrity of the hair no matter what service we're doing. Thio relaxers. Thio-based relaxers utilize ammonium thioglycolate, ATG, as the active ingredient to straighten hair, much like permanent waving solutions. However, thio relaxers contain higher concentrations of ATG and have an alkaline pH over 10. They also possess a thicker, more viscous formula that adheres well to the hair during the application. Now, when we're talking about still permanent waving, okay? But in this video, we are talking about soft curl permanents, jerry curls, or just a curl. These are the permanents that have to have the hair straightened prior to rolling it. Okay, so with the Thio relaxer, we straighten the hair out as we did the video prior. I showed you the hair that was in the extra curly state, the very coiled curly hair, and we take that hair, we straighten it out. Okay, the main active ingredient, the reducing agent in the Thio relaxer, is ammonium thioglycolate. Remember that anytime we use ammonium thioglycolate, we are putting a roller in the hair. We are curling the hair, taking it from one state to the other, either taking it from straight to curly or from a very tightly coiled curl to a more smoother, looser curl. Okay. Now, the Thio relaxer, right, is a higher concentration of ATG. Now, remember the other perms, if you're doing a perm where you just have to roll it, put on a solution, put on a neutralizer, that pH can go up to 10. But with the Thio relaxer, because we need to break more bonds, right? This Thio relaxer can go up to about 11. It can go up to 11 and maybe a little more than 11, which means that it is a higher concentration of ATG because we need to break more bonds. The higher the concentration, the more bonds you're going to break. All right. Now, we're talking about the viscosity of the relaxer. The viscosity of a relaxer is thicker because now we need it to adhere well to the hair, not to slide off. Viscosity means it depends on the thickness or the thinness of the product. So think about the liquid, the solution, and the regular when you don't have to relax the hair prior. That solution is thin. It's like a liquid. All right, that's very thin. But the viscosity of a relaxer is thicker because now we need it to adhere to the hair, to stay on the hair and not slide off or roll off. Okay, that is what viscosity is, the thickness or thinning of a product. Okay, it's just it helps determine the flow of the product. So if you have liquid, it's going to flow and roll off, but the viscosity of a relaxer is thicker. It won't do that. It will adhere and stick to the hair so that it can process and break down those bonds. Thiorelaxers. The high pH and viscosity allows the ATG to adequately penetrate and rupture the disulfide bonds within curly hair fibers. This chemical treatment relaxes the curls and makes it easier to physically straighten the hair into a smoother form by combing it. After sufficient bond breaking occurs and desired straightness is achieved, the relaxer is thoroughly rinsed out. Next, blotting and neutralizing step followed to stop the chemical reaction. Now, I looked in the book. There is a section missing. There is something that is missing in this with the Thio relaxer. When you do a Thio relaxer, after you rinse that relaxer, there is this now becomes a regular permanent wave. Excuse me. It is the process is just like the regular permanent wave. Only thing is, once you relax this hair, you rinse out that relaxer. Now you're going to use a wrapping lotion, which would be equivalent to a solution or a booster. Booster or a wrapping lotion is the same thing. And you're going to put this on the client's hair, and this is going to be used to roll the hair on the rollers. Once you roll the hair on the rollers, you're going to let the hair sit for the allotted time with a plastic cap. Let the hair sit for whatever the manufacturer's time is, and then you're going to rinse this hair off, rinse the rollers off, right? Rinse it off very well because the viscosity of the Thio relaxer is thicker, and the viscosity of the booster or the wrapping lotion is thicker also. So it's thicker than the solution. So you want to rinse it very well. And then now you're going to do your neutralizing. The process is just like the regular permanent wave. All right. So remember, blotting it is important because if you don't and you put too much, you have too much water left in the hair, what you're going to do is dilute the neutralizer. And if you dilute the neutralizer, you cannot get the maximum benefit of the neutralizing process. Okay, so you can get a looser curl. maybe some curls are tighter, some curls are looser. So you want to blot the hair very well, meaning getting out as much moisture by just squeezing the rods with the towel, and then applying your neutralizer. Okay, so remember that the viscosity of the Thio relaxer and the viscosity of the solution and or booster is thicker than the regular permanent wave solution and neutralizer. Okay. Thioneutralization. Thiorelaxers use neutralizers containing hydrogen peroxide after rinsing the straightening product. Neutralizers stop the chemical reaction. Hydrogen peroxide is an oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agents reverse the effects of bond breaking by the initial relaxer chemical. Specifically, the thiorelaxer first splits apart the sulfide bonds within the hair protein using its main ingredient, ammonium thioglycolate. Okay, so now with the thioneutralization, one of the main active ingredients, well, the main active ingredient in this neutralizer is hydrogen peroxide. Now, what this hydrogen peroxide do, this neutralizer, is it stops the action of the chemicals in the hair. So remember, we were breaking down bonds. Now we're stopping the action of breaking bonds. Okay? Now, once we stop the action of breaking the bonds, what we're going to do now, what this neutralizing solution does now, is it closes the cuticle. It restores the hair's pH balance, right? Restores back the normal pH. And then it also strengthens the hair bonds. It strengthens those bonds that we broke. Because remember, now we broke these bonds. These bonds could never go back to what they were before. The only way they can is if we cut that hair down to new growth, let it grow out, cut it down to the new growth, and then start from there. But it could never go back to what we had. Okay, so you have to always remember that we have to neutralize the hair properly, because we need to close that cuticle. All right, because if you don't neutralize the hair well, then you're not going to get the desired outcome that you want. Because if you don't neutralize it well, then the curls are going to be limp, they're not going to be as tight, and it won't be even look throughout the hair. Okay, because we have to neutralize, we have to make sure that we blot the hair, get out that moisture, and before we get out that water, before we add our neutralizer. Okay, what else? You want to make sure that you neutralize good, because if you don't, remember, we used a very high pH product on the hair. So the higher the product, the higher the pH, the more harsh it is on the hair. And we have to make sure that we neutralize it to close that cuticle. Because remember, what happens if the cuticle is left open, then we have water, right? We have a lot of water going in, or moisture, that once it dries, it causes the hair to become very dry. Okay, and we can leave the hair in a very fragile state if we don't neutralize correctly. All right, so we want to make sure that we do that, because we don't want any breakage or splitting or over dryness or whatever that will occur over time. We don't want that. Thioneutralization. Hydrogen peroxide in the neutralizer then rebuilds fresh disulfide bonds. This causes new curl links to reform to partially offset what the straightening chemicals did. So neutralizers oxidize hair fibers to recreate some bonds the thiorelaxer broke to make curls relax. This balances out the chemical straightening reaction. So this is what we talked about when we talked about that it rebuilds the disulfide bonds that were broken. Thio relaxer application. Although thio and hydroxide relaxers are performed in the same manner, there are some differences. With the thio relaxer, the hair is lightly shampooed once before applying the thio relaxer, whereas the hydroxide relaxer is not shampooed before the relaxer application. Relaxers can be applied with a bowl and a brush or the back of a hard rubber comb. While all thio relaxers follow the same procedure, virgin and retouch application use different application techniques. Follow the same preparation steps as for virgin hydroxide relaxers, possibly with a light shampoo beforehand. It is necessary to have a client consultation prior to service. So in this screen, what we're talking about is what is the difference, some of the differences within the thio relaxer and the hydroxide relaxer. Now, with the thio relaxer, you are going to do one light shampoo prior to the relaxer. Okay, you're going to do one light shampoo prior to applying the relaxer. But now in the hydroxide relaxer, you are not going to do a shampoo. You're going to apply it to dry hair, and then you'll shampoo at the end. With the thio, you're going to shampoo before and you're going to shampoo after. But with the hydroxide, you're only going to shampoo after. Okay? Now, with the virgin and the retouch, both same applications on thio or hydroxide, the applications are the same. So with the virgin application, you're going to apply it 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 an inch, and maybe even a little bit more away from the scalp. Okay, remember, relaxers do not go on the scalp. So you're going to apply 1/2 inch, 1/4 to 1/2 inch away from the scalp, right? And then you're going to apply this over the entire head. And when you apply the whole entire head, you're going to go back to that 1/2 inch or that 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch where that you didn't do, and you're going to apply the relaxer as close to the scalp as close to the scalp, but not on the scalp. And you're going to do that all the way through. And this is a 1/2 inch from, a 1/2 inch from the scalp and a 1/2 inch from the ends. And then you're going to go back and apply it to the scalp and apply it to the ends. Remember, as close to the scalp as you can get it, but not on the scalp. Then you're going to do the same thing with the retouch. The retouch, you're going to apply a 1/2 inch to 1/4 of an inch from the scalp. Okay, and then what's going to happen is our body heat melts down that relaxer. The relaxer begins to spread and moves up towards the scalp. Now, once you go back and you begin to smooth it, now this is where you may get relaxer on the scalp. But remember, because you did not apply it when you first started on the scalp, now you have time before you can get this burning sensation. If you get the burning sensation, because you shouldn't, smooth it out and be able to rinse and shampoo without any incidences from the chemical being on the scalp at the last few minutes of the relaxer. Thio relaxer application. Remember to analyze the client's hair and scalp. Test the hair's elasticity and porosity in multiple areas. If elasticity is poor, do not do a relaxer service. So we definitely want to have a client consultation because you need to know, again, what was on that hair, what's been going on with it. Do they have any chemicals on the hair right now? That's whether it's color, whether it's a relaxer, whether it's a thio relaxer. You want to know that before you start any processes of any chemical on your client's hair. So you must do a client consultation. You must check the texture of the hair. What strength is she going to use? And in the next video, we're going to talk about how to determine what strength to use on what hair. Okay, so this is the end of this video. The next few slides are some Q&A questions to help you reinforce what you've learned here today. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below, and I will respond back. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.